Howdy there you guys, and welcome. My name is Elio, just in case you guys don't know it, and in today's video of Guardians of Gemstones, we're going to be talking about two characters that I think will be worth your time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so I haven't totally decided yet on my character reviews for this game, so I'm basically going to be doing two, if not three, depending on the video. But in today's video, I did want to cover my personal favorite, and then also the boy that recently just got nerfed super duper hard. I still feel like he's a solid unit, but you know, the nerf did do some work to him. But let's go ahead and check him out here. So we got my Werewolf over here, and he's also a steel type, which is great. And then we have the Inquisitor, who is an elemental type who recently got his nerfed. But first, covering the Werewolf, there's so much I could say about this guy that is absolutely incredible. This might be coming before his nerf if he ever gets nerfed, but right from the get-go, you guys, especially once you just began the game, you'll notice that his damage output is actually insane. Like, he has these two little claws here, but the damage that he does is just absolutely disgusting. And we can see that he's a melee type, so obviously he's based on damage. He's steel, which is super duper great. And then as a werewolf, when the battle begins for 2 turns, you'll be able to use accurate hit, and critical hit damage is increased by 25%. This is where a lot of his damage comes from, because you'll notice with his moves that if he crits, the damage up there is just absolutely just vile and or disgusting. He is my first totally maxed out unit, so he's ascended to his final level right here, and at level 5 ascension you can pick in between Steel Fragment, which when dead 25% damage of current HP to all enemies will be applied, which honestly isn't that bad at all, but I chose to do Weakening because when attacking there's 50% chance to remove all buffs of enemies, and my thought process behind this was it's pretty simple. All of his moves, well, not all of his moves, but 2 of his moves are like AoEs, while his other 2 moves are pretty much just single target. So if there's a chance with all of these moves where I can just basically destroy any buffs of what I'm fighting against, then he should be doing a lot more damage. If not, the entire squad would be doing a lot more damage. And then Sealed Light, it's damage to light type enemies, which increases it by 30%. We can get that from an artifact. I don't think that's super duper useful, but I did find out that if you do want to reset his passive skill, at least for his type, since he's just a rare type, it's only 200 diamonds, which is pretty poggers. But we can see right here with Awakening level 5, his HP attack and then skill stats have been increased. Obviously max gear level can go to 50. He got a permanent speed boost, and once again he's rocking the Weakening for that. Now if you go over here to his skills, which is the cream of the crop right here, this is where it gets spicy, you guys. So obviously he's all booked up for a good reason. This is his main DPS skill right here. It's fully booked up, and basically what it does is it's a debuff type move, so even if the enemy is fairly tanky, you can get some debuff stacks on the enemy, and while it only lasts for 1 turn, which isn't super duper incredible, if he attacks first and he crits, obviously his damage is going to be amazing. But even if he doesn't crit, this opens up the gate for your other party members to hopefully deal out some damage. Moving on, next though is Earth Blow, which it has a 4-turn cooldown, which kind of sucks, but this move has saved my butt so many times, you guys. Like, it's all dependent on your strategy right now, because currently at the time of this video I'm at I'm in the hell part of the story, and I'm at the the 4 part of the stage, so I'm at 4-1 or 4-2 or whatever. I'm raising up some other units for that, but I've used this to carry me so much by just making sure that he starts charging this up the turn right before you go to the next stage. So say for instance you're about to kill someone and you're about to go to your final stage, I have him prep this up and then have another guy do the last bit of damage on that trash mob. So once we go to the final boss stage, all of a sudden he's going to have Earth Blow ready to go, and it inflicts great damage to all enemies, as we can see, and then it removes buffs at a 50% chance. So this is an AoE that hits every single person on the field, obviously on your enemy side, and can strip them of their buffs. Absolutely incredible. Charge time does suck, but it's well worth it in most cases. Right here is also the bread and butter of this guy right here, high speed breakthrough, which is the reason why I focus on doing weakening versus the whole HP thing, because while his HP isn't bad, mine is currently at like 13,000 HP, so once he dies, you know, they get 25% of that, which we're talking roughly maybe 2,000 something, maybe 3,000 damage max, which honestly isn't anything to scoff at, but I don't think it's worth it at this point in time. But this move has a 3-turn cooldown, but it hits everyone for multiple hits, so you have a very, very good opportunity of getting multiple crits up there, which it totally just destroys waves. And this is my go-to for clearing out waves, because normally the mobs don't survive unless you're in hell, and it's super duper useful. And obviously paired up with the elf priest, you can essentially spam this. And with weakening, hopefully, in theory, I'm hoping that it'll proc and I get that 50% chance to basically dispel all buffs with each hit. That's what I'm thinking. At least that's why I chose weakening. And then last but not least, probably the best move, at least in my opinion so far in the game, in terms of just straight up single target DPS, Vital Attack. This has a 2-turn cooldown, but it inflicts great damage to the enemy and causes the target to stun. Now there are mobs in the game or units in the game that are immune to stun, but the damage on this is absolutely insane. Like, I want to say the highest crit I've seen him do is like 14, maybe 16,000, and it seems like the crit damage up there is just absolutely insane because that 25% buff, not to mention whatever that you have from your weapons and your artifacts as well. This move is absolutely incredible. It's a great stalling move. It's a great damage move, especially on bosses. And it's just super duper great when it's paired with like a defense downer. So, yep, that's the review of the Werewolf. I've used him probably like a couple days in since I started the game. Once I was going through the phase of testing out characters, he really like resonated with me. I was like, wow, dude, this dude is absolutely amazing. And so far, he honestly hasn't let me down. He's my first 60. He's my first completely awakened character. He probably will end up being my first like totally maxed out character whenever I get there in like probably a couple months. But yeah, absolutely incredible, you guys. Definitely someone that you want to pick up, because hopefully he won't get nerfed, but if he does get nerfed, I honestly can't blame them for that. Alright, moving on. Next though, we have the Inquisitor, who in recent patches just got he just got rest in peace to the squad, dude. Like, they hit this boy hard, because before this he was doing all kinds of damage, dude, all kinds. And he was my second 60 just because this dude was kind of broken now. But the Inquisitor is a mage type, so obviously he deals damage based on magic attacks. He is an element type, and then he is part of the Allied Kingdom, where his overall attack power is increased by 10%, and then he is resistant to poison and burn. So do keep that in mind. So he does get a decent boost to his attack power by 10%. And let's go over here to his awakening skills. So at level 5 awakening, he has weakening magic, which when attacked, there's a 30% chance to decrease attacker's defense by 15% for 1 turn. I don't really think that's super duper good, for the simple fact that he's a DPS type kind of guy, so I don't really want him getting hit in the first place. And 30% chance for 15% decrease for 1 turn isn't super duper amazing by any means. Next up though, when attacked, 30% chance to burn attacker. This is way more up my alley, just because burn is one of the things that helped him carry a lot of people through certain stages and areas of this game, because burn damage is absolutely insane, you guys. So this is something that is appealing, at least in my opinion, but your opinion may vary. And then last but not least is control nature, which is damage to nature type enemies increased by 30%. Once again, I feel like I can offset this at least by 15 or 20% with artifacts, depending on their grade, I do believe. So I think for me, at least, I would say Lava Skin is probably the best bet to go with in this case. I know it kind of contradicts what I said, where I don't really want him getting attacked, but if he is going to get attacked, I'd rather you get burned than have a simple defense decrease, at least in my opinion. Moving on though to his skills over here, his first skill, which is his main skill, is Fireball, which has a 0-turn cooldown, so you can use it as much as you want. But it inflicts damage to an enemy and burns target at a 50% chance. And as we can see right here, burn once the burn debuff is applied, you receive 20% of your max HP as damage when the turn ends, and then when attack damage is increased by 10%. That is absolutely wonderful. So if you can get some burn stacks on some units, then he can do a lot of damage. Obviously, you want to run more of a burn composition in that case, just to get the maximum effect from burns. But this is basically a weaker version of Corrupt, but also I guess you could say kind of equal to it, because for Corrupt to do the 50% damage to a unit's HP, you need 3 stacks, while burn is just 1 stack for 20%. Moving on though, we have Fire Baptism, which has a 2-turn cooldown, and this inflicts great damage to random enemies 3 times in a row, and then it also burns targets once again. Now this is a multi-hitting move. It can do some damage, and I believe this was one of the ones that did end up getting nerfed just because of the amount of damage that it could do. And basically you have a chance or a decent probability of this hitting 3 different units and possibly burning all 3 of them, which once again, super duper phenomenal. Coming up next though is Follower's Will, which has a 4-turn cooldown. This inflicts damage on everyone, and it did a nasty amount of damage before they nerfed it. It did a nasty amount of damage. It also applies burn, and before the nerf of this guy, it also had, I think, either had a chance or it would take off debuffs. Maybe it had like a 50% chance, but I think it had a 50% chance where it would just basically shred debuffs, just like, not debuffs, but buffs, just like Werewolf. So not only would you inflict a ton of damage on whatever targets that you're fighting, but all of their defense has been stripped away because they're no longer buffed up as they were, and they get applied burn on them. Boys, it was the golden age when he reigned supreme. Oh my goodness, how the mighty have fallen. And then last but not least is his passive, which is Judgment Flame. It greatly increases damage against nature type enemies, which once again is fair. I mean, I guess if you never really used him, you could maybe go for like the nature boost in damage for his 5 awakening, but at that point you've had so many shards of him, you probably should have used him already if you haven't at that point. But I don't think it's a super duper amazing passive. Obviously, he's already strong against the nature type, and with his 10% attack power increase, that's nothing to scoff at. Plus applying burn to whatever units that he can hit them with. Going with his awakening skill for if someone attacks him and there's a 30% chance of them getting burned, is just another way to hopefully destroy them with some damage over time, you guys. But he did get nerfed. Is he still worth raising? I would say yes, in my opinion. He's not as breathtaking or as amazing as he was before. He literally dropped down, at least on my own personal tier list that I've made, which there's a link below to the Reddit if you guys haven't checked that out. He did drop below. He did drop from like S tier to, I would say that he's maybe B plus now, just for the simple fact that he just lost a lot of his mojo. But he's a lot more fair now, which I understand in terms of balance, and he can still kick your butt. So don't think just because he got nerfed to the ground that he's garbage now. I still think he's a usable unit. Obviously, you just need to rely more on other units rather than just having this dude solo things. But that's it for this segment of Guardians of Gemstone, you guys. Feel free to leave a comment below if you guys are interested in some more hero reviews, because I would love to have your input on this, or if I should separate the videos and do maybe one hero review per video, or do you want me to add in another? But until then, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.